Before going into the topic details, I want to bring your attention to the UPSC coaching programs offered by ClearIAS. ClearIAS offers online and offline courses to help candidates get selected for prestigious government services like IAS, IPS, or IFS. ClearIAS Prelims Cum Mains (PCM) course provides a highly effective study plan, well-organized subject-wise videos, study materials, mock exams, and guidance to cover the entire GS syllabus of UPSC CSE prelims, mains, and interview systematically. As a limited-period offer, there is a 40% discount on our online courses. Enroll now.
Stubble burning, and why we are actually going to talk about stubble burning is because that the Supreme Court recently pulled up two different states, which are Haryana and Punjab. And the Supreme Court simply asked that why you are actually not doing anything when the stubble burning is actually happening. Why you are not taking action against the different, different farmers or different people who are actually committing what is known as this thing called stubble burning. So there is something like air quality index is actually there. So there is proper management, proper monitoring of air quality is there in and around the regions of Delhi and National Capital Region. It is called NCR, National Capital Region. So when the monitoring is there, we notice that, okay, the quality is actually decreasing. One of the major reasons is stubble burning. That is when the Supreme Court actually asked the two different state governments of Haryana and Punjab, why you are actually being inactive, why you are not taking proper action. That is what the current affair news is actually all about. And there is actually one commission that is actually called the Commission for Air Quality Management. The commission, is here. The Commission for Air Quality Management. There is actually a commission here, and that is actually there is a proper instructions which are actually set by this particular commission. But even these instructions are actually flouted. That are not completely obeyed. That is the reason why this thing is actually happening again and again. This stubble burning is actually continuously happening. And ultimately, the air quality is actually decreasing. So, what is this thing called stubble burning? This is definitely a vast topic, but I'll stick on to the the small current affair portions of it. So, when we think about stubble burning, the stubble itself, the local language they use is actually parili, the word that is actually used there. And what is this thing? It is actually the leftover of the last harvest. What is the harvest? It is actually rice. So, ultimately, just before September, what happens is that before September, you have rice cultivation. And once the September time actually happens, then you have wheat cultivation. So wheat is the rabi crop. Rice is the kharif crop. So what is actually kharif crop? It is cultivated during the southwest monsoon time. That is June to September time. Kharif, that is rice. So your rice cultivation is over. You take the harvest. You have some waste, some byproducts also. So you have to take out that byproducts and eliminate that waste so that you can clear the land so that you can cultivate the rabi crop that is actually wheat. That is why they actually burn it. And why they burn it, they can simply clear it off, right? But it is not a very small area, right? And Haryana and Punjab is actually very vast lands. They have a lot of agricultural lands. It will take a lot of time to remove all the stubble, but they don't have enough time. So just after the rice harvest, they have to go for the wheat harvest. There is no proper time left. So they want to have that immediate, responses, immediate relief is actually needed from the stubble. So simply burn it. That is the reason why they burn it. I hope you understand the rationale of the farmer. We can say helpless farmer. So he has to go for the next produce, then only he'll get the income. So that is what is actually happening there. The short time interval between the rice harvest and the wheat sowing, that is why it is actually the reason of this particular thing called stubble burning. Now let's understand what is the impact of this particular thing called stubble burning. What happens when the stubble burning is actually happening? We got the current affair thing, that is the air quality is actually going down. That is the number one thing. So this was actually a widely expected question in like 3-4 years back when this issue was so huge, and there were a lot of different institutions came up. Supreme Court actually engaged, the government, central government engaged, state governments engaged, different NGOs engaged. So it was actually a widely debated, expected question also, and we had certain points to write in the mains too. And this year, the problem has started a little early. So which means that you can definitely expect a question, because there is a potential for this issue to become a national issue. Wider set of states may get affected. It may be a large issue when the Diwali time comes, and when the winter is also coming. You know what happens in Diwali? We'll burn crackers for sure. And whole nation will be burning crackers. And once after Diwali, what is coming? Winter is coming. So what is actually happening in the winters? There is actually will be a high pressure time. What do you mean by high pressure time? There won't be any kind of wind actually. So if this is actually a high pressure zone, if this is a low pressure, if this is a low pressure, the wind actually goes from here to here. So what happens in the high pressure? So there is actually wind here and there is actually wind here also. Here there will not be any wind. So Delhi, the region in and around Delhi will be under the high pressure zone in winter, which means that no wind will be there in Delhi in that November, December time. So ultimately you have the stubble burning pollution, you have the Diwali pollution. I am also celebrating Diwali, but still I know that it is actually creating pollution. So Diwali, because of the Diwali, there will be pollution. And then because of the high pressure zone, mainly because of this part, there will not be any wind. So all the polluting things will be settling in and around the regions of Delhi without moving here and there. So that is ultimately what is causing the issue of the winter time. All the people of Delhi, you have seen that the people, when we go there, they wear the N95 mask and all these things because of this thing. So that is the impact. One thing is actually about the air quality index we just mentioned, or the air quality, which will be really low. Air quality will be really low. What are the other impacts? What happens to the, what do we call as air quality? For example, there is something like the different constituents, for example, nitrous oxides, sulfur, etc. All the things will be really high, one thing. And also there is one particular thing that is called PM, that is particulate matter. There is something like PM, that is particulate matter. So what is actually particulate matter? There are two types, that is particulate matter 10 and particulate matter 2.5. So it is actually basically designated based on the diameter of this particular grain, sand grain. So what is this thing is that when this PM 2.5 is further more dangerous because it is very less. PM 10 can be more visible with the naked eye if we actually look carefully. When we actually get up in the morning, when we see the early morning sunrise, that sun rays when it comes, we can see that slight dust particles are actually flowing here and there. That is PM 10. That you can actually see with naked eye if you look properly, but not PM 2.5, which is very small. And this PM 2.5, which is, if it is actually very high number, what happens is that there is a potential for it to go inside our lungs. It may create unwanted issues like respiratory issues, asthmatic problems, etc., like that. So this is what the health impact of the less air quality, right? So I have to write impact is health issues is the second thing. So, or you can say health related issues because of the pollutants, right? So any other thing which we have to say, for example, when these kind of nitrous oxide, sulfur and all these things are actually coming out, more and more carbon particles are actually coming out, what happens is that it is actually greenhouse gases, this nitrous oxide, etc. So when the greenhouse gas is actually increasing, what happens is that it is ultimately paving way for what is known as climate change and global warming, of course. So these two things will be going here and there in an unpredictable manner when the greenhouse gases are actually increasing. That is one very important point. And next thing is that the impact of stubble burning, when we say that, is that, what do you say, the nutrients. For example, when after the rice is actually harvested, this is actually the leftover part, right? This is the residue, waste part. But still it is actually biological waste. So you can actually have a lot of different uses with the biological waste. You can use it as a better, what do you say, nutrients. But simply burning it off simply means that the soil will not get that lost nutrient. So this very same soil actually cultivated the rice. You take the rice away, but that plant also has some kind of nutrients. So you put the rice, this plant back into the soil, then soil will be nutrient rich. But instead of that, you're simply burning it. So what happens is that the impact is the soil will be nutrient deficient. That very same soil where they will be planting the wheat actually will be less nutrient rich than the previous rice soil. That is what actually one of the what is the impact of, we can say, the soil fertility, we can say will be, soil fertility will be very less compared to the previous harvest, right? So these are the major impacts we can actually talk about when we think about stubble burning in the particular region.